Hey YouTube, it's a girl Star Lover One, and today I'm gonna be doing a review of the season 1, episode 3, Boy Meets World episode titled Father Knows Less. And this episode was pretty good. I liked it. And so, without further ado, let's get started and all that. So first off, we see Corey and Alan. They're making like sandwiches, and because they're planning to go to like this father son sort of, they're gonna like go out or something, which is basically like what they do. And then like we see Lennon Spinelli. He's introduced, and he's basically a recurring character for basically this season, I think. Yeah. And he's basically Alan's assistant. And so yeah. And Alan's uh Alan's like trying to just like he doesn't really want to be bothered with work because he basically wants to spend time with his son. Though Lennon says that he has to go to his job for something. I can't remember what it was. So he goes, and yeah, because they're supposed to watch a baseball game. And then so Corey kind of feels like he pretty much just wants to spend time with his father. And then so next we see Alan waking up Corey, and like way late at night, and it's on a school night, like that's bad. And then so Alan basically wakes Corey to basically because they want to watch the baseball game that's on TV. So they do, and basically Corey and Alan stay up the whole freaking night watching the baseball game. And so that was pretty funny. And then so the next day at school, we see Corey. He's really tired, and he's like all like like just like shit. I'm just like so tired. And he gets his test back from Mr. Feeney, and Mr. Feeney's failed him on a test because he didn't answer any of the questions. And so Corey's like, "Oh shit, I messed up." And then so Corey goes back to talk to his parents, and Alan's basically just so mad at Feeney because he failed his kid. Though, I mean, I guess it's understandable though, like, I don't know. And so, Alan tries to talk to Mr. Feeney and says, you know, can my son, like, retake the test? Can you do something about this test? And Mr. Feeney says, no, that's the final grade that he's gonna get. And so, basically they go back and forth, and Alan's like, well, you don't have any kids, so how do you know what it's like to be a father? And, well, and Alan just, at that point, sort of thinks it's Mr. Feeney's fault. And it's, I mean, like, I don't think it's Mr. Feeney's fault entirely. I mean, sure, Camilo couldn't have been a little, like, more lenient, though. Like, I feel like Corey's the one that got the grade. He failed the test. It should be him that should. It's Corey's basically fault that why he failed the test. And also your fault too, Alan. Like, it's basically their fault. So, I mean, you can't really blame Mr. Feeney when it was both of your faults. Do you guys see what I'm saying? I hope you do. So, anyway, Corey basically calls Mr. Feeney a bud. Which I have to admit that was pretty funny. And so Corey's just mad at Mr. Feeney too. And yeah. So basically, yeah, and then Lenny comes over again and says there's been a little problem at the grocery store. And Alan says, can this wait? And he's like, okay, I'll just put the fire out myself. And then Alan hears that there was a fire at his grocery store and he has to go. And Corey's like, okay, you can go. So then we see Corey and he's basically playing with the ball and then he drops into Mr. Feeney's backyard and then here's one of my favorite lines in this episode. So Corey gets the ball and then there's a flashlight that comes on and he's like, don't shoot, Mr. Feeney, don't shoot! And that was like my favorite line of the episode. So then Mr. Feeney and Corey sort of have like a heart-to-heart talk about how when Mr. Feeney was younger, he wanted to spend time with his dad. And though he couldn't because he wanted to watch like something about like the president and space or something. Can't remember what it was, though. Like, I know like a little bit of it, and so like Mr. Feeney says like basically his father didn't really want him to. Though yet he wishes he could spend more time with him, though he knows that if his father had never let him to stay up that late, then Mr. Feeney probably would not be where he is today. And I just think that's a really sweet moment because, like, it shows that, like, I don't know, it just shows, like, everyone has these problems in life. And, like, even though they seem like they don't know a lot, they do. They do. And so basically, Corey at this point is so confused. He's like thinking, wait, is my dad right or is Mr. Feeney right? And that's like his internal conflict. It's like, who is right? And then Amy says maybe they can both be right. And then, so basically, and yeah, I can sort of say that because, like sometimes with certain things, there can be like multiple right answers. Like there's some things in life where a lot of people could be right about one thing, and it just depends. Like, it's neither right nor wrong. It's just sometimes they are right. And that's basically like the lesson. It's like basically like just to value your education and just spend time with your loved ones. The just basically just like the life lesson of this episode is basically, whatever happens, we'll wait. And we can always do it. We can always hang out at any time. And I just think that's a really good message for kids. Yeah, because you don't really see a lot of those kind of messages in kids shows. And I'm glad that Boy Meets World has these lessons that you can learn from. So basically, in the end of the episode, Alan tugs Corey in bed and basically says goodnight to him, and Corey's like, what if there's another inning? And then Alan says to Corey, whatever it is, it can wait until the morning. Because basically he now knows his mistakes. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Overall, this episode was pretty good. I liked it. It was pretty good for a third episode. I actually liked it a lot. I mean, I would say it's one of my favorites in the season because there are some favorites though. I mean, I put this episode in the honorable mentions somewhere. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, that's basically it. Peace, love, and happiness. Bye, YouTube.